Rutger Hauer. On a rain-soaked night before filming, an actor took a red pen to a clunky sci-fi speech, carved it down to a few stark lines, and changed movie history. That actor was Rutger Hauer. The character was Roy Batty, and the moment delivered on a rooftop in a storm turned a tight genre film into myth. It wasn't in the script like that. He shaped it hours before cameras rolled, stripping out the technobabble and finding something human. Not bad for a so-called villain. Rutger Hauer didn't arrive in cinema like everyone else. Born the 23rd of January 1944 in Breukelen and the Netherlands, he grew up around the stage. His parents were actors and teachers, but he kept slipping the leash. At 15, he ran away to sea with the merchant navy, chasing the horizon until seasickness and color blindness forced a return to land. He tried acting school, dropped out, came back, and eventually committed. Even then, the pattern never changed. Move forward, then sideways, then somewhere unexpected. He wasn't built to toe the line. The first time the camera truly fell in love with him was on Dutch television in 1969, in Floris, directed by Paul Verhoeven. Swashbuckling costume. Sword in hand, sure. But what glued people to the screen were his eyes. Cold 1 second, warm the next. Mischief, melancholy, danger, all flickering there before he said a word. That contradiction became his secret weapon. You could cast him as a hero, a drifter, a zealot. He'd play the truth underneath and make you lean in closer. Then came Turkish Delight in 1973 again, with Paul Verhoeven, a raw, erotic, tender, and abrasive bolt of lightning. Hauer played a sculptor driven by desire and self-destruction, and he went at it with zero vanity. The film blew up in the Netherlands, and suddenly American casting directors saw a blonde leading man with cheekbones that could cut glass. What they missed, at first, was the strangeness that made him special. He could tilt a scene with a glance. Hollywood took its first swing with Nighthawks, 1981. Opposite Sylvester Stallone and Billy D. Williams, Hauer's terrorist, Wolfgar, wasn't loud. He was unnervingly still, cool as a blade left in snow. Then came The Osterman Weekend, 1983, a paranoid thriller from Sam Peckinpah where even the chaos couldn't drown out Hauer's presence. He didn't chase the safest parts. He chased ambiguity. That makes sense when you think about what happened in 1982. Enter Blade Runner. Ridley Scott had crafted a towering world of neon noir, smoke, and moral fog, but it needed a pulse. As Roy Batty, Hauer found it. On paper, Batty's the antagonist, an engineered rebel with an expiration date. In Hauer's hands, he became a seeker, curious, furious, terrified of time, and hungry for meaning. He's the one who asks the questions we're too scared to ask. And that famous rooftop moment? Hauer took a long, jargon-heavy speech and distilled it into spare poetry, the kind that lodges in your ribs. He wasn't just reading lines, he was writing his epitaph as a character and, in a way, defining his artistic legacy. Critics were mixed on the film at first, but nearly everyone agreed on one thing. Rutger Hauer was unforgettable. Even Harrison Ford later nodded to the power of that performance. Now, did Hollywood suddenly know what to do with him? Not really, and that's where the cult run begins. In The Hitcher, 1986, Hauer turned the American highway into a nightmare without raising his voice. No big speeches, no backstory, just a presence that felt like fate with a pulse. That same year, he surprised everyone with Ladyhawke, directed by Richard Donner, opposite Michelle Pfeiffer, a doomed romantic hero who played tragedy straight, no wink, all heart. Between those poles sits Flesh Plus Blood, 1985, a muddy, feral medieval odyssey with Paul Verhoeven, where Hauer is both magnetic and menacing. And then there's Blind Fury, 1989, a cheesy delight inspired by Japanese, the cinema that works because he treats it with dignity. That was his gift. He could elevate pulp without pretending it was Shakespeare. The 90 seconds were patchier. Some thrillers didn't land. Some TV movies came and went. But he didn't grind himself into a brand or chase trends he didn't believe in. Instead, he recalibrated. Back in Europe, he took smaller, sharper projects that gave him space to breathe. Escape from Sobibor 1987 showed his restraint in a true story of courage. He won a Golden Globe for it and carried on without fanfare. Off-screen, he poured energy into activism, founding the Rutger Hauer Starfish Association to support people affected by HIV and AIDS, and he kept thinking out loud about mortality, art, and responsibility. He published a memoir later, All Those Moments, and if you read it, you feel the restless mind, curious, unsentimental, allergic to boxes. By the 2000s, he'd become that actor who appears and instantly shifts a film's center of gravity. In Sin City, 2005, he's a corrupt cardinal who barely moves and still dominates. In Batman Begins, 2005, Christopher Nolan casts him as William Earle, the sleek corporate gatekeeper who underestimates Bruce Wayne. Hauer plays him with a glint of contempt that tells you everything about the man's soul, or lack thereof. And then, because of course he did, he headlined Hobo with a Shotgun, 2011. A grindhouse fever dream he grounds with bruised dignity. He never rolled his eyes at the material. He met it where it lived and made it better. Here's the thing fans understood. Hauer didn't build a legacy the proper Hollywood way. No decade-spanning franchise, no carefully curated awards bait plan. He built it one strange, vivid choice at a time. He'd glide into a scene, and you'd think, is he about to kiss this person or kill them? That tension held in those blue, unreadable eyes was the show, and it taught a quiet lesson. Charisma isn't volume, it's intention. He kept working big films, tiny indies, unexpected TV, turns right up to the end. Rutger Hauer died on the 19th of July 2019 in the Netherlands after a short illness. The news didn't break for a week. Somehow, that felt right for a man who never marched down the main street with a brass band. He stepped in, did the work, and slipped away. If you're discovering him now, start with Blade Runner. Sure, but don't stop there. Pair it with The Hitcher to see his elegance turn lethal. Jump to Ladyhawke for romance played straight, Flesh plus Blood for medieval grime, Blind Fury for playful charm, and Hobo with a Shotgun for late-career ferocity. Then circle back to Nighthawks and the Osterman Weekend to catch early signs of that unnerving stillness. Threads connect them all: empathy, danger, intelligence, and a refusal to do the obvious. In the end, Rutger Hauer didn't try to be everything to everyone. He was singular, an artist who could whisper a feeling and make it echo. He gave us moments that feel like memories we lived ourselves. Headlights on an empty road, a rooftop in the rain, a last look that says more than a page of dialogue. Those moments do fade, like everything does, but some of them lodge in you and refuse to go.